call this meeting to order. For December 11th, 2023, Canada's Town Board. Roll call.
We don't have a town clerk.
I could call myself.
Hmm?
I wanted to do roll call. It's good. And we've officially called tonight's meeting to order.
Supervisor Vastola,
Here.
Councilman O'Connor,
There.
Councilman Stat,
Here.
Councilman Gronwell,
Here,
Councilwoman Crawley.
Present. Today we'll have John O'Connor lead our salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, John. Is there a motion for approval for last meeting's minutes?
second.
Okay. John and Terry. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that carries.
I had one question about the minutes.
Yes,
We did not indicate who led the salute to the flag.
we got that correct.
I've got it in.
Okay,
It
great.
was Ted.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, yes. Thank you.
Yep.
So, any other discussion on the minutes? Well, something, thank you for reading the minutes, appreciate that. So we have our Richmond Fire Department here and we are ready to approve that budget. We just had a question or two from the board.
So the first question we have is on your real property tax revenue line. You have an increase of 5.45% for Canada's, a negative 1.02% for Richmond, and an increase of 9.09 for South Bristol. We just want to understand what the rationale, why it wasn't just even, why it was varying.
The biggest thing is that we're trying to bring Canadice and South Bristol up to what Richmond's been paying. In the past, Richmond has been paying a considerable amount more than the other towns. Our ambulance, I mean, you get the same service from our ambulance and our fire. And actually, with the fuel costs and everything else coming into Canadice, way up into Canadice, it tends to run more. So we started looking at it and we felt that, you know, we needed to get more level with everybody.
I can understand that, and I'm gonna defer to Kate, but I was looking for. That, I understand that, that makes sense to me. But I was looking for the rationale, in other words. Based on what, I'm going to defer to Kate here, but. You know, I was looking for a rationale, I agree with the direct, I understand the intent, but.
So we wondered if it has to do with the number of calls or the number of residences. Because the other thing I noticed when we looked at the 2024 budget, the expenses are higher than the projected revenue. And we assume that you've got a way to cover that.
You know,
Yep,
Okay.
okay.
Yep. Let's all hear this.
Okay, there was a lot of things that we cut out of the budget that is still sort of included. There was like both of our ambulance had hotspots. They cost us about $70 per ambulance, and there was two. That's no longer, as of about 3-4 months ago. We actually stopped using that. The main reason is, going through the hills here, we kept losing signal.
Right.
So if a medic was starting to make a report halfway to the hospital, it would cut out. So there was a lot of complaints that we're dropping the calls, you know, and then he'd have to do his report anyways in the firehouse. Okay, so we did away with those two. computers on the board. There was also other things that, throughout the year that we've actually cut expenses. I know if you looked at the year before, you'll see that they had like $1 million budget with a $700,000 income. And we actually closed the gap quite a lot to this year, if you notice that. And we're still trying. One of our biggest problems right now is with a $700,000 income, we're spending $325,000 on contract labor. Yeah, and that takes a big chunk out of it, especially when you're looking at purchasing new vehicles. Okay, one of the other things that even the stretcher in our new vehicle, the stretcher is $38,000 with a life expectancy of 7 years. That means every time we use it is $12. And so there is a lot of things that we're very up to on the expenses, and we've actually tried to cut all the expenses down. But that is one of the big factors that we're experiences, we're not saving enough for the new rates.
Then that goes back to the question, why would you lower your taxes then if you're having problem getting,
Right. We did lower the taxes.
yes, you
For-
did,
For Richmond.
for Richmond.
It's lower.
We actually went up 2% on Richmond.
No, you didn't.
Negative.
Yeah,
Negative.
not according to the budget that, is it Liz
Right,
sent over to us,
okay.
If you're having a hard time saving, why would you drop budget?
right?
I gotta find out, how did that happen? Because actually I know that we maxed, you can go up 2% on the town, and we did.
No, you didn't.
Okay,
Not in your black.
Not
and
in your
white.
budget.
yeah, you should
Okay.
look, you
I
should
will.
look, okay.
So I'm not sure what word to use, but have you reached what you feel is parity between Canadice, Richmond and South Bristol now? Or are we likely to see bigger increases than Richmond going forward, like
I
2025?
don't think you're gonna see. I think they're gonna be all equal from now on.
That's what I was,
Yes.
right. So,
Okay.
so you believe, I'm not trying to hold you to it, but I mean, you believe you've reached fairness between the three towns,
Yes,
subject to doing your budget for 2025, you won't know, but
exactly.
Well, like our budget for 2025, we got the bill for the EMS and it went up 5%.
yeah, no, I'm not talking about whether the increase is 2% or 5%. I'm not talking about that, but it's
Everybody
we've
was up to-
reached parity amongst the three
Right,
towns.
We
I
feel
think.
that now we're
Yeah, that's what I was trying to establish.
Thank you, this is very helpful.
I only had one other question, and I may be misreading your finances, but it appears in your 2024 budget you are using 106,683 of your reserves to make the budget whole, which is fine, but is that some sort of one-time expense, or is there likely to be an increase across the three towns for 2025 to make up that 100,000 that came out of reserves this year?
See, that I have to actually find out with Liz. Because you know, when we got hit last year. And I'll talk about it, is in December of last year. There was a FEMA grant given to us for $35,000 or $39,000. Well, when you looked at the bottom line, we actually lost 20,000 last year. But in reality, we didn't include that 40,000 or 39,000 on top of that. So we actually, instead of losing 20,000, we lost closer to 60,000. Okay, because it came out this year. So our numbers this year look bad.
See, and now he's talking about actual and not budget.
Right,
And that was the point I was making in the email that I saw. This is budget, this is not
Yeah.
expense to actual.
No, but my concern is if they had $100,000 shortfall, had to use reserves,
Right,
is that gonna show up as an increase for 2025?
right.
That's all I was,
Yeah.
that was trying to keep it simple, but I was just trying to, if you were buying a new piece of equipment that was 100,000, taking money out of reserves makes sense to me.
right.
Taking money out of the reserves if it's for normal operating expenses like contract labor and so forth. Then that's just trying to understand. Okay, well, that's all the questions I have, unless,
I got one other question. It shows here that other income in 23, you had 364,000. And this year it shows
Say that again, we had
364,000 in
other income,
Yeah,
Yep.
there was a line item, it was actually sitting on the line associated with a heading. And so,
That's the way she
again,
did it with everything.
pardon me.
You did that with everything.
Oh, okay. Okay, so maybe it was state and federal aid. Because I also noticed that if you do get state and federal aid, that's missing out of the 2024 budget, and that'll help you.
okay. We did have that grant. However, the only other three incomes that we have. Are the three towns. And then the other income would be income from, the bank or your checking book,
Right,
which is minimal. It's, $50 or whatever. Okay, so that's the only income that I know of.
So maybe going forward, if you utilize this, which you've already got, lots of great numbers, put in some actuals. Maybe for 22, even 23. And as you go to 25, it'll help everyone going forward.
Actually, they do have the actuals, I just,
you know,
you didn't ask for actual, you asked for the budget,
Okay,
okay?
well, all right,
And the thing is, you're always welcome to come into our
sure.
meetings, okay? We've always made them for the second Thursday of the month.
Point taken. Point taken.
and they start at
6 o'clock,
6 o'clock.
my bedtime's 8.
And do you have off the top of your head, or could you supply us just what the residents served in each municipality? Just so we have that data, and also do you track actual visits to each?
We
Service.
did until I started looking into them. Okay,
So now you're starting to log those more, or,
we were doing it, and then I started looking into them and finding out a lot of the Richmond calls were not Richmond calls. Curtis Short Apartments, I know there was like 4 or 5 calls there, and they were all marked Richmond.
right,
There's a few on Westlake Road. And they were all marked Richmond,
Right.
and I'm going, wait a minute, the ranch isn't in Richmond,
right,
okay?
Yep.
So then you started going back, how accurate are our numbers?
and that'll be a good metric going forward.
Now, another thing we saved, remember I said, I've been trying to cut the fat, okay? One of the other things is, we had a program called I Am Responding. It cost us like $3,500 a year to have. Well, the Ontario County has the bridge system. Which is, it doesn't cost us a thing to get on that. So in turn, we cut expenses by just eliminating it, but it also eliminated a lot of our record keeping.
hmm,
But you added in $4,000 for a red alert system, so you didn't save any money.
Well, we
You
found
didn't.
out we had to do one or the other.
Right, well, you just told us you saved money,
Well,
but you
we
didn't.
did, taking it out. Is the red alert up and running?
Red Alert is now up and running.
Okay,
Red Alert is a better way for us to get our numbers. Where I'm responding was basically a message and a dispatch. So it's, it'll be better for us to keep track of our numbers. As far as, I think I understood you, you wanted to know if we go to an address more than once or something?
Just
That's correct.
frequencies, just
Total
data,
number of calls,
just
right?
data, just data.
But I mean, we can't. The fire we can, the ambulance, we can't tell you how many times we go to an address. I think that gets involved with
It's all HIPAA then.
That's right.
HIPAA, and we can't do that.
But we could say how many are candidates and how many are. registered.
Yes, that would be helpful.
You know, we can do that. We also, you know, like this year, we spent 3 days in Canadice at a fire. You know, so it equals out, you know, you'll find that our ambulance rolls. You know, in the past where I was looking at the records, our ambulance is rolling. Some months we roll more in Canada, some months we roll more in Richmond.
Well, every year is different.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, every year is different, but certainly. If you could provide data going forward, I don't mean right now, I mean, looking forward.
Okay.
By town, Richmond, Canada, so, you know, so at least we could see the number of,
Well, this red alert should help us do that. But, you know, now the county is changing their dispatch system. So it's always a challenge, but we will get better at numbers for you guys, as this year goes on.
One of the things I would like to bring up about it, we are very unique that our fire department is also the ambulance. Okay? And the number of calls that we make, how many calls do we drop? Was it last year we dropped 1?
Last year we dropped 3.
Okay,
This year, I believe we dropped 5. Most of them are.
Our second out-
ambulance.
call, not the primary. Primary's already out, they call us for second call, and that's how we've been dropping. Okay, which you go to almost any town. And I won't tell you how many times Naples drop calls, we
Naples,
can't get a driver,
Naples now is part of Canandaigua ambulance,
yeah, but they still can't get
They
drivers.
still drop calls, yeah.
Mhm.
but they're now Canandaigua ambulance is taking over.
Right.
So.
We're grateful to have that ambulance service here for sure. Thank you for that.
No, I mean, our ambulance is second to none. I mean, you don't pay for it. Canadice residents do not pay for an ambulance ride. John can tell you how much an ambulance ride, I mean, an ambulance ride is $2,500.
Yeah, I mean, and
Minimum.
that's basically Thompson.
Yep.
I know I paid over $2,500 when they took me to Strong, so.
It's 2,800 to go from Canandaigua to Strong.
all right,
But I do have, this question has nothing to do with budget. It's just a personal interest. Did I read correctly that you can now charge the insurance companies for your
We can,
motor vehicle accidents?
we can, if we do all the other paperwork, and in fact, one of the things of doing the proper paperwork is by getting a billing agency to do it. It is not been successful at all, because first of all, you can't get a billing agency to touch a volunteer ambulance as part of their fire department because of all the red tape, number one. It was a 3-year trial. We're gonna be in the 3rd year here shortly. And we've talked about this at several meetings. It's just not doing what they thought it was gonna do. They added so much red tape to it that it's impossible to do it.
The problem is we're a tax-based organization, you know, where we collect taxes. We can't bill the insurance companies and collect taxes at the same time.
Well, with this,
So go on refund.
the other thing is.
Basically, you're right.
The other thing that we were looking at is that the fact that we could bill the people of our district. You can't bill, if say, John Doe has an accident, but he lives in Rochester and it's in Richmond, we can't bill him because he doesn't live in the Richmond Fire District. So I mean, that's some of the stuff.
Well, that was the sticking point with me, you know, if somebody on 15A out of state traveling through this accident.
Well, it's
So
the same,
you're right where you were 10 years.
yeah, it's the same way when Livonia calls us into Livonia to back them up. Or Naples or anybody else. I mean, we were called to Danville the other day.
Sparta.
And, you know, we can't do anything about billing or anything like that, it just,
So they pump it up and the price is a good deal, but it's
Yeah.
not pumping.
it's not,
Well, you also have to remember our ambulance is ALS, which is advanced life support, which is the top, they're the best. Okay, it's not just a basic rig.
Just curious, that's all. But like I say, nothing to do with the budget.
we would like to have all of you guys, come down and visit us and take a look at the equipment we have. I mean, from the ambulances that are set up with some of the most advanced equipment to, a tanker that's 4,000 gallons. It's one of the largest ones in Ontario County. We can deliver 2 tankers loads of water with 1 driver. Because the average tanker is 2,000 gallons. So we're trying to increase our equipment. And since COVID, a truck that cost us a little over 400,000 pre-COVID is now about 650,000. So it's a little tough.
May I make a suggestion with that invite, perhaps invite Richmond, South Bristol as well as in our town at the same time. Save you some time and we can network a little bit.
Yeah, we can, let me get some invitations out and see what.
Far out to the right,
Yeah, let's, well,
after ski season maybe.
I mean, we can do it in April. That way it's nice and warm and, I'll be back from Florida and.
I'll be between trips
That would be
too.
great.
So,
Yeah, thank you. I just one question, 2 acronyms. I would assume BLS is basic life support
basic life support.
and ILS. I didn't know what that was.
It's supposed to be ALS. I think it's a
Yeah.
Okay, it's a typo. Okay.
It's a typo.
And
Okay.
actually, we do have some medics that are RSI. Certified and our ambulances are RSI. Mark can probably explain RSI better than I can. But
RSI is if you have like a head injury and you still have a gag reflex, but you're not breathing adequately to perfuse enough oxygen to the brain, you can't intubate, which is put a tube into to breathe for them because they have that gag reflex. RSI is rapid sequence intubation. So you're paralyzing the person. It's exactly the same stuff they do in an emergency room, or not emergency, but operating room.
and a matter of fact, just, I think it was last week where we had to use the RSI.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, it's usually stroke patients or head injuries and they
Well,
basically knock them out to tube them.
Ready, let's go.
We are thoroughly pleased and I'm certain we will submit that budget. In fact. You will be getting that in the mail soon.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they could walk out with one tonight. Can they walk out with the one tonight? I mean, if it's all signed?
Sure.
Next year, when you do the budget, can we have the same thing along with the actual?
Sure.
That would be great.
I'll have to make a copy of it because I want a copy here with all your signatures on it.
But usually they'll mail it back.
They mail 1 copy back.
Right. Gentlemen, come right up front and you got 2 copies. And thank you very much.
Do you
for
want to,
coming.
do you want to make an official motion approving their portion of the,
So moved.
Yes, I would like to.
We already signed it last meeting.
All right.
all right, Kate's making the motion. Who seconded?
I'll second.
Thank
Mark,
you.
thank you.
Very much. Thank you for coming in. No problem.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. We saved the stamp too. That was hilarious. Otherwise, I would
happy
have signed it.
holidays and, we'll get together sometime in April.
Sounds great.
Great.
So we're gonna trip to Florida.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Okay. The other privileges of the floor are self-explanatory. Any questions?
Did everybody listen to the state of the town?
I don't know.
I thought it was well done,
Well, thank you.
so,
Wonderful.
yes.
Anyone else have something?
No.
It's airing on TV too. They're putting it right before the news, is what I'm saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And actually, there's gonna be a little bit of music and I swapped out a few photos, so I don't know if those are in there yet. But
Okay,
This is on our.
it's
website.
on, it's right on the website.
On the
Yeah,
website.
it's like the
On the
first or
supervisor's
second
page
link.
and the front page, and it's also airing on Finger Lakes TV.
Very nice.
And that's something we'll do every year. And I'm the first supervisor to do it, but I'm encouraging other town supervisors to do it as well.
And can we also put a link to the Flexomat video on our website?
We could.
I would,
That's a good
I
video.
would suggest it.
Yeah, it's a good video.
Yeah,
I love it.
come on, showcase what the town's up to.
Absolutely. Well, and when other towns see that, we're trying to get more towns to do that, so then we can get more of that.
Yep.
Funding. So yes, that's a win. That's a win. So minutes were submitted planning board, and we'll just go right into reports.
Clerk,
Sound clerk report, please. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, she's helping the, rec- yeah,
Oh, I could come up with some.
okay,
Are
now
you-
she's ready.
Are you waiting for me now?
Yes,
You
Okay.
got this report, please.
Paying to the supervisor for the general fund, $862.68. To the supervisor for water billing, $3,680.92. DEC for decals, $839.52, and Animal Population Control Fund, $8 for total disbursement of $5,391.12.
I make a motion to approve the town clerk report.
I'll second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Thank you. Again, we got a nice historian report. CEO submit a report. Anything to add, Joe? No. Thank you. Mr. Mayhood, planning board.
Planning board met on November 27th. You've seen the minutes, we had 2 subdivision applications to review. And out to pretty much across the road from each other, at the junction of Ross Road and Canada Hill Road. The first one was for Mr. Ward, dividing his property into 4 parcels. 2 of it would be annexed by adjacent parcels, and 2 will be new parcels, both owned by Mr. Ward. It was approved, no issues there. Second one was for Mr. Chichetti, property across the road, it's on Canada Hill Road. Large lot, they've been in the family for years, just dividing it up into 3 so that they can get proper ownership on them. No issues whatsoever, they were both approved. And pretty much that's all we had to report.
Thank you. I review them. Nice job. So we're gonna have a resolution we'll talk about after Jeremy gives his report.
So the week of Thanksgiving, we switched back to our winter work hours, which are now 5 days a week, 8-hour days. So we're staffed from 7 o'clock to 3:30. We're able to do a little bit of road work. We went up to Warren's Hill, started a little bit of ditching, and had to lower a driveway pipe just to try and create a little more capacity in that ditch, because the water had a tendency to spill out into the road and run down the road and freeze in the winter time. So this is the beginning of next year's one of next year's road projects, so we're just trying to get a head start on that. We also picked up some coal patch and spent a couple days driving around filling potholes. And went around and replaced some signs that were too faded you couldn't read anymore. Mostly no parking signs down along the lake, and then some up along Perry House or Prairie. So we were given some snow fence by a resident, and we thought we'd give it a try this year out by the airport on Wendell Boy's property. After a week of it, or well, it's been up for a couple weeks, but it's determined at this point that it was, exposed to possibly too much UV rays and the little bit of wind that we've had already is already toward us. We are going to look into getting some wood type snow fence like the state uses and, see if that's, worth something for us to, throw into our winter maintenance routine to try and help, eliminate some of these drifting areas that we have. all the
So we're
time.
not using anything like that at this time?
At this
Not
time,
yet.
no.
Okay, so we're starting that, good.
I did, 2 years ago, we made an arrangement with Neil around the corner here to leave some corn standing for us. That seemed to help. I was hopeful that he would do the same this year, but I see that he chopped it down. It's tricky, you know, I talked to him a couple days ago.
Oh.
It's his prerogative.
Good pay him extra.
And so he's been spending quite a bit of time in the shop trying to clean asphalt off the trucks from all the paving that we did this year. We had to fix a couple of sanders, broke a chain, an auger chain on one of them last week when we were in the middle of one of our plow runs. Fortunately, we have a spare sander, so we were able to take the spare sander off the shelf, change a couple fittings on it, slide it in the truck, and we were up and running in a half an hour with a new sander in that truck. But it took most of the day to actually replace the chain in that sander. So on to snow removal. So we made 5 runs, that's more like 7 because I turned my report in on Wednesday and we had that 4 to 5 inches of snow Thursday morning, right at the commute, which was interesting. And then we were out, made a salt run this morning as well. We've also done 2 other localized salt runs, mostly up in the elevations. We did have some freezing rain a couple weeks ago. That was really limited to just that top of the Canadice Hill area. Took delivery of 200 tons of salt, mixed it with the Magic, which is a mag chloride and molasses. And we've also brought some sand in. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
John, I noticed, this is in New York State issue, not Livingston County where it's a co-op, not county there. But the state puts up with thousands of feet of wooden snow fence on 15A. As for generations there. But I see that putting up a lot of plastic. I was wondering if possibly if you could check with the state, see if they are phasing out their wood snow fence. If you could acquire it, or because I don't see Livingston County putting up anything. So
No, yeah, most of the snow fence you see is either by the state or like the town of West Bloomfield, they put up quite a bit along County Road 37. But yeah, the counties, well, Livingston County's like Ontario County, they contract all of their snow plowing out, so.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, I will look into that.
State DOT and Lakeland.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably because the plastic fence is a lot easier to store and easier to handle that, that wood fence is pretty bulky, but.
As long as it's stored properly, right?
Is there an update on Jersey? I may have missed it.
Might even be cheaper for town just by new questions.
Yeah. Well, as far as the engineering study for next year? You're
Yeah,
asking about?
was there was an emergency, you had to, not an emergency, but you were temporarily fixing part of Jersey with the concrete.
Oh, with the barrier?
Jersey
Yeah,
area.
barrier.
Oh, yeah, we
We were looking for maybe federal aid or grant or something, to work on Jersey.
We recognize that Jersey Hill is gonna be a big concern going forward, so we've initiated in the budget, I believe it's between 50 and 65,000 for an engineering study next year. And then we will select a firm going forward to go through that process.
And then there was mention about limiting.
Yes,
Yep.
that's something we could do now.
That will require a local law by the town board. Cause I got stuck behind a, I think it was a Coke semi, it was actually 18 or something like that. And he was
18 wheel? Oh, man, no.
7 miles an hour up the hill, and I'm like, this is what they were talking about.
Yeah, no, and it was GPS and. Oh, it's an ongoing change.
Right, up Jersey. I'm hoping he knows how to shit. Okay. Wish it was going on.
And that snow fence, John, you're asking the cost, it's $84 a roll for the wooden and $38 a roll for the plastic.
Wow.
The only reason that we just put a flyer out.
Interesting, it's that. That much.
Cost effective just to
What's the
fire
lifespan?
on and be done with it.
If they don't stand up, it
Depends on how much wind you have.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends and how you put it up, how you store it,
Right.
but I mean, it better than half the price.
You know, the fence is cheap as opposed.
Posts.
And a labor fund.
I'm gonna send that to you.
Tom was just in the office this afternoon and he didn't give me that flyer.
Because it just came out as I got home from work.
Oh.
Okay. And I answered your question as well, Joe. Thank you.
Well,
So-
one more thing I have for Jeremy, it doesn't apply to the highway department. When we had the parking lot paved, might have been a big blowout patch in front of the courthouse building.
That was, it rained. It rained the day they were out there compacting the parking lot. And the water sat there, and when the guy backed the paper in, it sunk. They are aware of it, they're gonna come out and look at it in the spring and see. And make sure that everything's on the up and up there. They got, cause they
compared
ended up
it to
digging.
the Paint job on your car and then somebody
Yeah.
missed the spot, so they brought a brush out, and painted the rest of the cover.
Right.
I mean, it sticks out like a sore thumb.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they ended up digging in that whole spot you're talking about, they dug. The 4 inches of asphalt out and another 4 or 5 inches of base material and then filled it all in with asphalt. By hand, which is why it looks like that.
You know, didn't apply to your department, but it's.
Yeah, no, that was the very first pass of the paper. Very first pass of the paper.
You have to see it live.
Oh, yeah, and that's still.
Did you notice?
Oh, no, we talked about it, yes, we're very aware of it, yes, we're very aware of it. And it's documented. And our newly re-elected superintendent will be right on it, promise you. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the 5-year capital plan for the town of Canada's Highway Department.
Terry seconds.
Those in favor?
All right.
That passes. And Terry,
Well, we're moving theoretically into winter, so my reports will get a little briefer for the next few months. But I do want you to know that Kate was probably happy last Saturday afternoon. We had a high temperature of 62. I suspect I could just see her out there in her kayak. Yeah, I could just envision this. But this is not good for the lake. So just keep that in mind. This is like paddling your kayak upstream in the current. So this warming climate trend is not helping. 1, 2, just to get the key things here. We still have the special DEC Finger Lakes grant proposal awards have not been announced. But Ontario County Planning Department, and on behalf of Canada Ice Richmond and the task force, submitted an Ontario County Water Resource Council grant for educational outreach material and a few accessories for the boat wash station. Being optimistic that we're going to get the grant for $35,000. Put a picture of that in my report. We are busy working with our partners on articles for our winter newsletter. Expect publishing date to be early February. That is my update. No other news. So I'm good.
Sort of related to the lake, we did
Yep.
get our invoice for the weed harvest.
Yes, I
It's
saw
going-
that.
and she sent it today, so it's hard to get it ready for the meeting, so it'll be on the next abstract, just to clean up 23 expenses.
Well, I thought we'd already paid it.
Well, there's, well, we have some work to do.
I saw in the financial report where you.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't pay it all. I
Yeah,
know.
she just sent it on email. today,
Okay,
but thank you.
Yep.
Right along. That's the report you have, water district operations fleet.
So, water district, pumps, just 700,000 gallon. It's normal, it's, about 50,000 gallons higher than last year. And as I have reported, we have slightly more connections, we have 296 connections. And I also took a quick look at the work orders, and those were normal too for this month. And once we get December's, I can do the fourth quarter report. And we can also now take a look year over year and how the work order costs are trending. I believe they're trending down for this year. Yeah, because we didn't have the maintenance at the far end of the lake the way we did last year.
It's all my fault.
Absolutely.
Wash out those
Absolutely.
wonders.
Has anybody gotten wind or maybe Joe can answer this about a possible new connection in the ranch? Has that been clarified at all, or is there still a battle?
There,
What the situation is? Somebody taps into the ranch and they get into water from the ranch. And there's a meter pit in there, but no meter, is my understanding. Right. And it sounds like they're getting in a disconnect.
When's the first time I heard this?
We might have a new addition to the water district.
Okay. And are they gonna need a new tie-in to the?
Everything's there, but he's been feeding off branches. Yeah.
I can explain a little more from the resident side.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I haven't spoken with anybody from the ranch, but apparently the ranch owners. In the beginning, let him supposedly let him tap into it under the assumption that he was gonna, cause he paid the $100 fee. To be able to hook up when he was ready. And he's, you know, however long the district has been going, you know, he hasn't had any plans to put a meter in. So I think there was some words exchanged, and then one day the ranch was out there with a mini excavator fixing leaky water meters and accidentally hit his line. So he was almost forced to have to call Superior to come out and put a meter on. So he is hooked up now. I went down, they have a meter, and they're on the books as of last week.
And is this in the park or is this around the park?
It's actually separate from the park.
It's right.
It's
on the
separate.
lake. Yeah, it's separate from the park. But
It's
you have-
7 Ranch Road.
Yeah, you have to drive through the park to get to it.
Okay.
So he's been
Say more
using
about this.
the ranch's water, so it was getting paid for that.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
it was definitely getting paid for it. It's just, I don't know how they separate, because the ranch has one big meter, so we don't have any way to know how the ranch
Right.
charges their residents, so,
But it's nothing to concern us, basically, then.
correct,
It's
No,
in the-
there should
it's
be
in
a
the
new
lot.
addition to the water.
right.
So
And Mark-
is this an add of 1 to the number of,
No,
for the capital?
No,
no.
because he's off the ranch.
It was off the range, not anymore.
No, he's separate. He's part of the capital.
Wait,
He's
what's
already in there.
He's already in there.
Oh,
Right.
7 grand.
He's part of the 400 units.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just he hadn't connected.
There were a number of
residences that were on the park system. Even though they weren't in the park. And the park owner, been pretty generous in not kicking them off of the parks system, although it was made clear. That they needed to get off the park system and connect directly to the town without it. It sounds like this one is, yeah, and. You know, the park owners now been pushing.
Agreeably, agreeably, because it's been how many years now, not 2-3 years, 2 years, which would seem like plenty.
I think that I can take that up. That's the offline.
That's right, that's right.
Oh, appreciate that update. So,
Just inquired for.
no, good. I love finding out about these things.
I love finding out about it right in front of them.
Right.
Hey, you gotta put a meter in, and then you go down and people are yelling at each other.
Oh, sure they are. Sure they are.
Okay,
Of course.
you're kidding.
Oh, no.
Oh, it gets better every day. Oh, it gets better every day.
There's a
Oh.
long story.
Oh, no, they just said, yeah, okay. It's a beautiful day to talk about the financial report from the supervisor. Changing gears. Motion to approve the financial report.
A motion, but I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What is impact or invoice 548 waste assessment to the town hall, town clerks and town clerk?
Do you remember when we had a proposal that's this money is being reimbursed by the county? So this is actually an expense that's being reimbursed by the county. We did a waste assessment of highway, court and town hall. Just taking a look at what we're recycling, what we're throwing away, what types of things we could do better. And I have that report if you'd like to see it. Did I email that report?
It's just
You did
something
not.
new.
I didn't know if you'd want to get lost in that, but I'd be more than glad to email that report with pictures of everything that was in every receptacle.
Think that we're somebody we can forward it to. If he hasn't. Right after the ceremonial changing of the chair.
And to that end, so that 1,000 is reimbursable and then it was monies left over. And I just got approval on an email at the 2:45 email that I got about 7 o'clock tonight, incredibly.
Yeah.
I would have printed it out. We.
It's kind of like a recycling type of. deal.
Yes,
What are we
more
doing?
for compost. So in addition, the county's gonna fund us. We're gonna pay for it, but then we'll get reimbursed for 1 year for a toter for highway and a toter for town hall.
Recycling or
Compost.
Compost.
Yep.
Composting, waste paper.
Yeah, I tried to get them a 2 or 3 year plan, but they just went through.
Okay.
But we'll see how it goes.
It was something new. I've never seen it before, so.
Yeah, I think I circulated the memo
You
month or two ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 months ago.
Yeah, no worries.
Must have been sleeping.
Good.
I mean,
Good question.
no, you probably did it in September.
So we had a motion, we had a second,
No.
Nope, second.
we have a second, those in favor? Okay,
Okay. so
Terry seconded.
Terry
Yes,
seconded.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've got one, because I know that we do the, get rid of all the, spend that is over budget.
yes,
In the highway expenditures, page 1 of 2. And it's DA 5130.2. We expend the grader through the highway instead of through the general. And so that needs to move. And I was waiting to see if it was gonna hit, cause I expected it in October, but I see it here in the November report.
yeah, we didn't actually pay, the payment was delayed, we're just doing the net 30 tickets.
So I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's in the wrong, it should be in general, it should be in town general. We agreed on that, correct, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
When we ordered the grader.
Because it came out of the general.
came out of reserves,
It's
right?
supposed to come out of general reserves.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would make that move before I started fixing the credit entries. the little baby overspends. Cause you may have to do something, right, if it goes beyond the town. Budget that was approved. Cause it was not in the 2023 budget. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to approve the budget modification resolution. That's
This is a blanket, for all budget modifications.
correct, but it corrects the spend, not the budget. You got two sides to your. Right, and the budget is the budget, and then your spend you adjust through the year. Right, so that you don't have any over budget. I don't believe that grader is in the budget last year,
Okay,
okay?
So you're saying another budget modification will be on the agenda for January just to move the grader from highway to general?
Perfect, thank you, Eileen.
okay.
And
And
that keeps the reserves where we agreed. Oh, and then I had one other one. And like I said, I know you've got to clean these up next month, which is why I went through it this afternoon.
and there'll still be some cleaning in January
That's
too.
fine. The water reserve, the 30,000 also has to come in under expenses. That's why the expenses are so much lower than the revenue. And that'll tidy up the water.
30K should be expenses.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make another move just to get both 30K reserves in the same CD. That's needs to happen too.
Right,
A small detail, and
right,
Yeah.
right.
that's, we're working on that one. Further discussion. Okay, that carries, and then the resolution for the budget modification, so we may proceed.
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second.
those in favor,
Aye.
carries. Okay,
Like I say, take a look at this resolution, because in the third paragraph, it says that we are not going to impact the 2023 budgets. And in that grader will impact both the budget and the actual. And I wouldn't want somebody to call us out on that.
I'll take full responsibility, and I will.
Okay.
We can-
Well, that was a fully 2023 expense, correct?
Correct. Correct. It wasn't in the budget.
All right.
But the separate resolution in January would correct that.
Absolutely.
We got time to do that. Okay. Moving right along. The FEMA projects, both of them, I think I might have given you some information where there was one very intelligent, resident who was able to get some information from FEMA. They didn't want to give it to him originally, but he asked for it and they gave it to him, a lot of data points on the flood zones so he could build. That was the gentleman we were speaking about, and keep me posted on his progression as well. Nick. He's the kind of guy we need in our town.
Yes, and just quick update on that, his build process isn't effective until that map goes into.
Correct.
Right.
It's all preliminary. It's preliminary. Yep, he's all set. Okay. Yep. And I think I said that.
You did, because I responded.
Okay, I'm not getting all my emails. Anyways, and then the hazardous materials. The final draft is coming back to the towns. If anyone would like to look at it on 12/18 for final reviews, and then she won't be emailing me. But only 3 times a week. I can't wait for that. Resolution setting time and place for the 24 Canvas organizational meeting. I'll move it.
I'll start that.
Those in favor?
I,
Aye. That carries. Resolution for CNB to be our agent for Canada's, for our county tax bills.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
And Mark second. Those in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like to block 3, 4, and 5.
I'll move them all.
Second, Terry second.
Sorry, second, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And two resolutions, I'll just keep them separate because Stephanie's our officially our deputy town clerk tax collector. I'll move that.
I'll second it.
Mark second, those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll need a motion for the appointment for Diane Horning as assessor clerk.
I'll make a motion.
Terry seconds.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing. Approval of the bills.
One question
Yes, sir.
on the bills.
Yes.
The town of Richmond for the joint rack.
Yeah, we gotta get it's the one that's gonna match the budget. They sent a different number and Terry asked that question as well.
Okay, and the invoice doesn't match any of them.
Right. That's Richmond. So.
My
Maybe
thoughts
the-
on that is we give them what we appropriated in our budget and if they're
Well, it's
asking. for more-
10,220 in the budget.
That's what that's what this
This
one
one
is.
is.
So in my mind, that's what the check should be. Then there's some other stuff there,
Correct,
the grinding for the brush bag.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
But as far as the rec program, it's
Yep.
10,220.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. That's what they're gonna get.
But that's fine. I mean, I just, there was
No,
two different ones.
That's, I appreciate that. I could rip up the other one, but I'll just put a pen. Whoops. Okay,
Now I'll move to accept the bills or pay the bills.
I'll second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Carries, thank you. Holiday Town Party, 12:30 PM on the 20th. You should be there. I'm hoping everyone will be there. Come on, come on. And if you know, if you're bringing a dish to pass and you know what it is ahead of time, and you wanna forward that, that would be helpful. I know I'm gonna bring a Texas caviar and I found some tortilla chips that are green and red.
Are they forwarding that to you then? They're not
Well,
forwarding
we
it to
better-
me.
Dorothy heard a rumor that you were gonna cater dinosaur barbecue. Is there any truth to
Oh, that would be fun.
that?
Here's the thing, state law states. We could do that if it was a team building event.
Yeah, front page of the AOT.
Yeah, well, that, it was just recently, well, they do it every year, Association of Towns every year does do that, so if I threw in a state of the town.
That's okay, I was just
Somewhere in
I'm just giving
In
you
a
a
little
time.
cyber training.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm
the
looking
test
forward
was
to all
like
the
a 3-question
homemade,
test.
Yeah,
all the
maybe-
homemade
maybe next
meatballs
year,
and stuff.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. That's fine.
Community celebrations.
Before we move into adjournment, I do have one other, did we hire a new court clerk?
Yes, and you got that in your packet, yes. Yes,
It was emailed. Oh,
Krista Hoover.
Yeah.
Krista Hoover,
Yeah, since
She's
Sean
already
brought
done
that up, I forgot about that.
I saw that in the billing for training or fingerprinting or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah, but yeah, I'm cool with that. I just have a question. I believe by town law that the justice can appoint the court clerk, but should we
No.
we endorsing that or?
No, no, the
No?
judges are doing the appointment.
Okay,
and that might be one reason why Steve's on board.
I mean,
Yeah.
everything else goes through the board, like the deputy town clerk and the deputy assessor, that's all, it's just.
No,
Same
I already
difference.
looked into it.
Yep, court reports up to the state differently. through
US
different channels.
courts,
Court administration, yeah.
She's the same one.
it's 6th Appellate Court, New York State.
So I've got a quick update.
Sure.
So the disaster recovery plan
Yeah,
is in draft. It was circulated to the office here in town hall. Eileen provided some updates. I'll now send it to Jeremy, and I'm also gonna ask the chairs of each of the boards to take a look and see if there's anything that they would add. And then in January, it'll come to the town board members for review. I'm also looking for the electronic copy of the operations plan. Otherwise, we're gonna scan that and have to, restore it. And then we also found a hazard mitigation plan that's also a standalone document that we'll also update, and I'm gonna ask you to review. Okay, because those three plans go together. And then we will meet the audit requirement that has been on the recommendation list for 3 years.
Yeah. And then there's a new county person, the name of that department changed, as you saw. And the. Deb Tricky will be an asset.
Cool. I know that name for some reason.
Yeah.
Wonder if she used to be with Monroe County.
Could be.
MS coordinator.
Okay, because we do county drills, you know, at Strong. I wonder if that's why I know her. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have something too.
Yes,
So I attended a New York State Town Clerk's Regional meeting in Geneva last Monday, and we had one of the attorneys from Foil addressing us. And the local law we passed allowing the Zoom meetings, she said we had to pass that law, but it does not give board members the ability to vote remotely unless there are extraordinary circumstances, which is pretty limited. Because I asked her, well, what was the purpose of passing the law then? And she said, because we had to. So I've got an email out to Association of Towns just to confirm that's correct. And I have not heard back from them yet.
And Eileen and I were talking about this because I'm gonna be zooming in February.
So Kate would still be able to zoom in and participate. She just wouldn't be able to vote if this is correct, what I was told.
So is that in effect right now?
Everybody.
It is. Yeah.
interesting.
Oh,
We're gonna
Eileen,
run
does
into that.
it apply to all boards?
Yes, yes.
All boards at what level of government?
Municipal government.
Is-
The local law we
We're
passed,
voting at the county level by WebEx, Zoom,
Uh-huh.
but we use WebEx.
I don't know. That's why I've got the email
Yeah.
out to Association of Towns.
Yeah.
Because that was news to me.
I had a couple things.
Oh, sure.
I neglected to mention that, we did receive a resignation letter from Steve Engard. He's been elected as a justice, so he
Yep.
submitted his resignation effective December 18th. We do have an alternate member right now. I'm not sure whether she wants to be appointed the regular member or not, but we'll have one opening either as a regular or an alternate coming up. And then a question to Krista Hoover, who's gonna be the new bookkeeper, or will she?
She's not leaving that position.
Thank you.
She is or is not?
No, she is not.
Thank you. That's all.
And I've already got a nameplate for Carolyn.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
So if you get any,
She has to zoom in the next meeting, that's why I was asking the question. Well,
oh, and if you,
no vote.
okay,
No vote.
if you have any, updates before the next meeting, as long as I get things by the Wednesday, that's always helpful. The Wednesday prior to the meeting. My schedule's gonna get tighter going.
And if I hear anything different, Ted, from this other attorney, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Well, we're meeting next week, so.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do
It's final, it's final, it's
final event, motion to adjourn.
Second.
the end of a career. John, thank you for your service, I'm glad.
It was a privilege.
Raise my glass to you, those in favor?
Aye.
Carries.